Howdy everyone, Pocher here with an Age of Magic video, and in today's video we're diving into the 6v6 format in Clan Battles Season 2. We're going to start theory crafting, talking about what's good, what's not so good, how to best defend your castle. With Season 2 of Clan Battles, we are seeing a lot of changes. The 6v6 format specifically, in Season 1, we see a restriction to the format where you have to use cross-faction heroes, meaning you cannot use two or more heroes from the same faction when crafting a team. It's led to a lot of unique teams being crafted, and they are brilliant. They work very well, and they have synergy within them. Season 2, however, is seeing that restriction removed, and we are going to see for the first time in the game history the player's ability to craft a team of 6 heroes using all heroes from the same faction. You can cross, you can put other faction heroes into the team, but there is now the opportunity to craft past that 5v5 format and build a team of 6, which is going to open the door for a lot of cool teams, because there are many factions within the game that have heroes that are just typically good in many regards, and you are made to choose between which 5 out of the 7 plus heroes you want to use in that 5v5 format. So even adding one more hero to the team can change how that team works drastically. A perfect example of this is the Gu faction. We have recently seen 2 new heroes introduced to the Gu faction, Nefera and Warris, and both of these heroes are amazing contributions to the Gu faction. But with it, we saw the push to have to remove 2 previous heroes we were already using. Now, Skara was an easy removal. Not because she's not a great hero, she is, but her strengths do not lie in clan battles. She is a raid hero. She's more designed to take on Nightmare Raid than she is to be used in clan battles. With her removal, we put Nefera into the team, and Nefera in clan battles defense specifically is an absolute menace. Then came Warris, and then we were made to choose between a very hard choice in which hero we removed from this point. We rolled the dice, we decided that Sekhmet, even though an amazing hero, was the most replaceable hero out of the remaining 4. So we removed Sekhmet, and in place we put Warris. Now mind you, Warris is still quite a hard hero to obtain, but I promise you, moving into Season 2 clan battles, people are going to be using him regardless of what level he's at. He offers a lot to the Gu faction, and with how the Gus work, weak or not, he's going to have a lot of damage mitigation. He's going to be able to survive. The 6v6 format, however, is allowing players to now bring Sekhmet back into the mix, which adds a whole level of defense to this already powerful defense team. Sekhmet has amazing damage and debuff mitigation. He can redirect all that to himself, protecting his allies. He can remove buffs from the enemy through an AoE ability, so it's not buffs off one enemy. If it hits, he can remove buffs from multiple enemies. If awakened, he can also purge debuffs on one of his allies. He is an absolute menace. Having him back in the team is going to protect this team even further. And with it, you can still have Nefera and Warris, and in my personal opinion, the Gus is now the #1 defense team in the game in clan battles. On my Friday stream, we started to test the 6v6 format, and we found that the Gus were the best defense team. Now, mind you, we were testing factions purely. We weren't integrating any random off-hero faction class. We weren't throwing in Raymond. We weren't throwing in any of those one-off heroes that work really well with other characters. We were focusing purely on factions themselves. The Gus were just outclassing everything else. They beat Crimson Order, they beat Cloud Wanderers, they beat Assassins, they beat Dark Druids, they beat Firestorm. Firestorm won one time against this team. It was a very, very close battle. Every other fight, though, it's just absolute chaos, and most likely the the Gus will come out on top. So unless this was the only team you had left, the Firestorm squad, and you just wanted to get some hits in, try and weaken it for the next person to come along and fight them, by all means go for it, but it would be an absolute last resort in my personal opinion. The only team I found that could beat them, and when you watch the battle, you're going to think to yourself the Goos aren't that strong. That is not the case. Please do not take that as the information I'm trying to show you. This is the only team I've found so far that can counter them successfully. Everything else gets utterly destroyed. Keep that in mind. But this weakness is not necessarily a weakness, and I'll explain that a little bit later. So I'm going to show you the battle. I'm going to show you everything that takes part and why it works so well. We are using the Crimson Order. That's not the team we're using. We're using the Renegades. Sorry, lots of factions and heroes going through my head at the moment. We're using the Renegades mixed with the Demons. We've got Corvus, Felicia, Lola, Crowley, Void Gunner, Devourer. Now, Crowley could probably be moved around. I personally really like Crowley. I love how he can absolutely purge the buffs off the enemy. I think that's very, very powerful. But you could use any other demon or renegade / renegade, because there aren't many other demons you would put into this team. But yeah, let's show you the battle and how it works out. So we're going to go 4 times speed. We're going to apply the mutagenic ulcer to the enemy, and this is pretty much the downfall of the Goos, because it is the biggest counter to their main strength, which is the Canopic Jars. The Canopic Jars add a lot to this team. We're going to remove the shields, and then we're going to blast them and start putting these people into their disorientated form. The reason why this is so strong is because the disorientated form does not consider them a goo anymore, which means you bypass the Canopic Jar completely. They cannot benefit from their Canopic Jar state, and it's an easy win. This is the only team I have found that can deal with the Canopic Jar situation efficiently, effectively, and almost a guarantee. Well, it is a guaranteed win. I have not lost against the Goos with this team so far. Now, why is this not necessarily a bad thing for the Goos? As I said, I guarantee you are going to see the Goos in the castle defense. With this, the castle, in my personal opinion, is going to be much harder to get to than it was in Season 1. The reasons for this come because of the changes that have been made in Season 2. We're seeing 2 gates now instead of 1. 1 restricted to light heroes, 1 restricted to dark heroes. We're seeing 4 negative effects instead of 2. And these negative effects are applied to the castle, not the gates. And the outposts are going to be significantly harder to break through as well, because the outposts aren't 5v5 build whatever teams you want anymore. They're 5v5 cross-faction. You're going to have to craft teams of cross-faction heroes, which means you're going to be draining a lot of heroes trying to get through the outposts. I do believe that the castle is going to be an extremely difficult thing to get to. Now, in saying this, in this difficult journey to get to the castle, there's going to be many situations where you're going to feel like you need to use your strongest heroes. And the Corvus / Demon team definitely falls into the category of your strongest heroes. They're just powerful heroes in general, and they can, in most situations, deal with any problem you come across. So the issue now is, if you are forced to use this team on your path to the castle, if you feel you have no other option other than to use this team before you get to the castle, and then you choose to place this team in defense, so it's unavailable to use on your way to the castle, and you get to the castle and you're faced with waves and waves of goo defense, then there aren't many options to beat the castle. You're run dry. There, like I said, not many teams that I have found. In fact, there is only 1 team that I have found that successfully beats the goo in clan battle defense. So that is the problem you're going to run with. Of course, there is the fatigue mechanic. You can verse the Goos, you can weaken the Goos, and then you could potentially beat them with other factions, but that's going to require multiple hero use, multiple attacks, and it's going to be quite draining. You want to figure out how to beat these teams as quickly and efficiently as possible. So knowing that you are going to most likely have to keep Corvus so you can get to the castle and beat that defense is a massive win to the Goo faction. They are, like I said, what I consider the biggest threat in clan battle defense at the moment. and you don't necessarily need that Warris and Nefara to be super strong. They can easily make do with relatively lower stats compared to other heroes because they have so much defense in the goo synergy through Canopic Jar. You take less damage when there's Canopic Jars in the field. The Canopic Jars can come back to life. Second damage mitigation, shielding. There's a lot that just protects them. So just keep that in mind. We're going to do a lot more testing. If you have any ideas, if there's anything specifically you want to test, feel free to come along to the Friday stream and write down or suggest something. We can test it there. If you don't have the ability to make the stream, or you simply don't want to, that's fine. You're more than welcome to leave a comment below. If I find that the comment or the idea is compatible or it works, or there's some meaning behind it that's can be applicable to anything we do in clan battles, then by all means I'll work towards making a video on that. But yeah, we're going to start deep diving the 6v6 format for sure, because it's going to be one of the most unique things we see in clan battles. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment below. I will answer it to the best of my ability. And if you're on the world, until next time, please take care of yourself.